Okay, so for our album cover, you need 2 pieces of chipboard 6.5 by 6.5 and 1 piece 6.5 by 2. To wrap these, you need 2 pieces of cardstock that are 8.5 by 8.5. I am now selling my cardstock, my luxury linen cardstock, in packs of 25. Those are available on my website. I have the black, the white, the craft, and the gray. I think there's 1 red left. I have not reordered the red yet. I'm not sure when I'm going to, but the other 4 colors are available. So you want to cover the back side of your chipboard completely with tape. And I've got my Clearview cover spacers, 1 inch top, 1 inch side. We'll drop that down. Same thing with our second piece. Okay. And there we go there. And again, I'm just pushing it up against the top spacer and then dropping it down. Okay, for our spine, again, 6.5 by 2. Our cardstock for this is going to be 8.5 by 5. We're going to swap our cover spacer for our 1.5 inch spine spacer. So when you're doing your own from scratch and you're trying to figure out how to do this, for the cover, you want your cardstock 2 inches bigger than whatever size chipboard your cover is. For your spine, you want it 2 inches taller and 3 inches wider. You want that extra little bit to grab when you're assembling your cover. Okay, so I've got those. I'm going to go ahead and grab my bone folder. We are going to fold the cardstock around the chipboard, just using the chipboard on our desk. Okay, I'm going to do the same with the other 2. Folding and then burnishing the cardstock that is off of the chipboard. And again, and again. All right, next thing we're going to do is miter. So I'm going to fold that over and I'm going to come up here and just take out a little wedge. To trim this so we can wrap everything around and not have any extra cardstock hanging off or getting in the way. Do same thing with the spine piece. So next up, I am going to grab my 1/4" score tape that has apparently grown legs and wandered away. That is not it. Unless I have buried it somewhere. Okay, where it's disappeared to. Oh my gosh, where did that go? That is incredibly weird because I was just using it. Okay, I'm gonna find another one. I'll be back in just 1 second. Okay, found it. All right, so we're gonna start with our spine piece. So we are gonna put tape on the ends. Okay. So we got that on there. I'm gonna go ahead and get that backing off. There. I get asked a lot. This is the My Sweet Petunia Precision Glue Precision Glue Press. Oh my lord. It comes with a bottle of Nuvo glue, which I do like. It also comes with an empty bottle that you can fill with whatever, so mine is filled with art glitter. Okay, so we've got those two ends glued down. We're going to turn this over and you're going to burnish along the edge and get that cardstock pushed down over the edge of the chipboard. And then we're going to go ahead on this side and add tape out on our outer edges. Okay, let's set that aside. Grab my two cover pieces. Both of these you are going to go around all 4 sides with the tape. Like so. All right, so for this one, we're just going to go around and do all 4 sides to completely wrap our chipboard using the same process we did for the ends of our spine. So I'm just going to go around here and get the backing off of my score tape, maybe, if it wants to play nicely. It's actually not score tape, it's actually a different one that I almost think is stickier, but I haven't decided yet. Okay, it's from, what is that? Scrapbook adhesive, so like where you get the foam squares. It's their tape, and I quite like it. It's actually quite a bit less money than score tape, which is always a bonus. So I'm playing with it to see if it's something I want to make available in my shop. Okay, so there's one. Let's try and do the other. Okay. All right, so one edge of the chipboard, the glue, and then in the open area. I feel like I might not have said that. If I didn't, I apologize. All right, so now we're going to take our spine. We're going to turn all of our pieces with the pretty side up. We're going to go ahead and pop the backing off of the tape on one side. And then we're going to add glue. You don't want to go all the way up to your chipboard, but you want to get close, okay? Lay this on top. I can visually see at the bottom that it's lined up. With my fingernail, I'm going to guide it at the top until it slides over and down. And burnish that down. Turn to the other side and do the same thing again. Okay. By using both the tape and the glue, you're making sure that it grabs immediately and it's not going to slide on you and go crooked. That's why I do it that way. Okay, reinforcement piece. This is 6 3/8 by 6. So you can see there's definitely a size difference there. Again, this piece is also covered completely in tape. The rest of this, you could just use glue and that would be fine. I will suggest strongly that for this step right here, you do want to use tape. You want to cover this completely because when we put this down, I'm just centering this top to bottom, left to right, and then burnishing. When we use the tape on this, you're going to get 100% adhesion all the way across. It's not going to bubble. You're not going to have the glue lines. You're not going to worry that it's not completely stuck down, okay? So I'm going to push up and burnish, turn around, push up and burnish, and then I'm going to close my book and I am going to pinch my spine. That just sets everything into place, and there we go. Our cover is done. Now, we do want to mat this before we put our hinge on, so let me grab my pattern paper, and we'll come back and we'll do the hinge and the page bases. Okay, hinge. Your hinge is going to be 6 inches by 5.5, with the 5.5 at the top of the scoreboard. We're going to score every 1/2 inch all the way across. So 1/2 inch, 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3, 3.5, 4, 4.5, and 5. Okay. And then let me go ahead and cut the matting for under the spine. So I'm going to go 1 7/8. By 6 3/8. Okay. Go ahead and put that on. Now I'll put the plaid side up. Doodlebug does the best plaids. Okay, that's ready to go. Okay, so what we're gonna do, let me zoom in. Okay, I'm going to take a pencil. It's the bumpy side up. I'm going to mark XX, skip, XX, skip, XX, skip, XX. Okay. So what we want to do, the X's are the pieces we are gluing together. Okay, so I'm going to turn this, I'm going to start on one of the two middle pieces. I'm going to fold this over. I am going to burnish from the middle out. Okay, fold back, and again, middle out. Turn it over, fold it towards yourself, and again, middle out. Okay, there's your first one. We're going to go to our next one from the middle, fold it over, middle out, middle out, fold it back, middle out, middle out, turn it over, fold it towards yourself, middle out, middle out. Okay? I'm going to go to our outside edge, fold it over, middle out, fold it back towards yourself, middle out, and then our last one, same thing, middle out, turn it over, fold it towards yourself, middle out, okay? So, doing it that way will help ensure that this is going to be nice and even and straight and good to go, okay? So we're going to do the same thing again with our glue. We're going to start in one of the two middle sections. I'm going to add my glue. I'm going to fold it over, and I'm going to burnish again from the middle out. Wipe up any glue that may seep out. Fold it back. My paper towel. Middle out, turn it over, fold it back, middle out, okay? Go to our next middle, and same thing again. Add the glue, fold it over, middle out, fold it back, middle out, turn it over, fold it over towards yourself, middle out, okay? We'll do our two edges. Okay. Middle out, and there we go. Now our last one. Okay. The reason you want to burnish, even when you are burnishing your fold lines for flaps and so forth, the reason you want to go from the middle out is it prevents you, especially if you're putting a lot of pressure. I tend to be fairly heavy-handed when I do this. Going from the middle out keeps me from pushing that line so that it ends up crooked, okay? All right, so if you want to check yourself, you're going to measure. I am at 1.5 inches, 1.5 inches, 1.5 inches. If you're off by more than 1/8 of an inch, redo your hinge, okay? That's probably one of the hardest things that even still, after as many of these as I've made, I still end up having to redo my hinges sometimes, okay? So we are going to glue that right there in the middle. So I'm going to grab it like this. I'm going to get my glue on the back. And then grab my outside edges and kind of pull it taut. And then center it. Hold with one hand and burnish with the other hand and burnish your middle. There you go. There's your hinge. Okay, page bases. These are super simple. You need 4 pieces that are 6 by 12. And we can zoom back out now because we have done what we need to do there. Okay. I don't want that. I want the scoreboard. That'd be good. Let's cut them in half, Jennifer. Come on. Use your brain. Oh my gosh. Okay. 6 by 12. 12 inches at the top. You're going to score at 6 inches. You're going to do that on all 4 pieces. Burnish them. Again, I'm going to fold it over. I'm going to make sure my corners are lined up. And again, I'm going to burnish from the middle out. And get in the habit of doing that, your score lines will come out much more even, much more straight. Of course, barring the paper slipping in the scoreboard, which literally I do all the time. But that's okay. Okay, middle out. Last time, middle out. Okay, so let's bring this back. Let me grab my hinge spacers. 1/2-inch hinge spacers if you have not seen me use these before. These just help us get our pages onto the hinges, evenly spaced off of the base of that hinge so that your pages turn smoothly. Okay. So I am just sliding those over the hinges in the book. So, like so. And this, when it's actually pushed down all the way, leaves the perfect 1/8 of an inch gap between the what's the word I'm looking for? Oh my gosh, I just drew a complete blank. Between the base of your hinge, where the paper is actually going to fold, the fold line, and where you're attaching your page. So the easiest way I have found to do this is like this. I'm doing a little dot there, dot there. Okay, so opposite corners. Turn my book sideways. I am going to put this down on the hinge, pushing it all the way down on the spacer, and I'm just going to pinch those corners for just a minute until that has time to set. Okay, we will then do the next one, next one, next one. Slide our spacers out. You slide them to the side. You don't try to pull them up and over the pages. They will break if you try and do it that way. Okay, and then after we've done that, we'll fold these over and then we'll go in with the tip of our glue underneath that edge and glue the rest of it. Okay. I figured this out through a lot of trial and error after I designed these. Okay. There's one more. And our next one. I'll just hold that for a second so that glue has a chance to grab and set up. Okay, and holding that one, give it a minute to set. slide my spacers out. A little trickier when it's one of these where they actually meet in the middle like that. It doesn't happen super often, but it does happen. Okay, so those are going to kind of fall to the side, and I believe this is the end we started on. Okay, so you can see as I fold this down, right there is where we're going to insert the tip, once I get the gunk off of it, of the glue, and just lay down a line of glue in there. Burnish that down, and then especially because we've we've matted under here, anything that leaks out after you do that, wipe it off so that you don't accidentally stick this to your matting, which I have done more times than I care to admit. Like way more times, okay? And we'll just keep going across the book like this. We get all of those pages adhered to their hinges. And then we will go and do the bottoms. I just want to make sure these are down, stuck where we want them to be. Before we do that. Okay. And again, I got really carried away with the glue on that one. Okay. And then our last one. Again, we're going to do that, and then we're going to make sure we wipe up any extra glue we got on there. Okay, now I'm going to do my bottoms. Okay, same thing. I am just going to stick this in here and just run a line of glue across the bottom, fold it over, burnish it down. Okay, there we go. Okay, so I'm going to grab our page elements and I'll be right back. Okay, so let's start with the front inside cover. So we're going to have a pocket and two flaps. For our pocket, our cardstock is 4.5 by 7. So did I not? Yes, I did. Okay, sorry. 4.5 by 7, which I'm off by 1/8 of an inch. I'm not sure why. Yours should be 7. We're going to go with it. It's fine. You're going to score it 1/2 inch, and it's 6.5, and then 1/2 inch on the 4.5 inch side. Since mine's short, I'm going to turn it that way. Since this is floating in the middle of the page, kind of, it doesn't matter. Our flaps are going to be 6 3/8 by 7. So with the 7 inches at the top, you're going to score at 1/2 inch. what did I say? 7 inches at the top. Yeah, 7 inches at the top, you're going to score half an inch. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is miter. So both of our flaps, we are going to miter and miter. And then the pocket, you're going to miter at the top corners. And then at the bottom, you are going to cut across where the score lines cross. Okay? Like so. Which I didn't cut quite far enough. Okay? So, first thing we're going to do is fold and burnish our flaps. Like so. One of these is going to go at the top. One of these is going to go to the side. It doesn't matter which one you do first. But because it's not quite as high or as wide, because this is 6.5 by 6.5, 6 3/8, you're going to center it. You know what I'm trying to say. It's not coming out. I should not be doing this tonight. And I've gave myself like a month off, so I've done nothing but like cards and layouts and other projects for the last month. Out of the bin of shame, which I am happy to say, I emptied 3 bins of shame. So, alright, so then we are going to go ahead and mat this. So the matting is 6 3/8 by 6 3/8. Not sure which side I want. I think I want the hearts up. Okay. Now we're going to fold and burnish our pocket. And typically I will do the bottom of my pocket and then come back and do the sides. However, this time, since this one does kind of float, I'm going to do them all at once so I can get everything nice and centered up the way I want it. And there we go. Folds in, that folds in, that is it on that one. Okay. Front of page 1. We also have a section that needs matted before the other piece goes down. So we have a tuck pocket that is 2 by 6. With the 6 inches at the top, you're going to score it 1/2 inch and 5.5, and then turn and yes, score at 1/2 inch. Okay. The big pocket is 7 by 3.5 with the 7 inches at the top. You're going to score at 1/2 inch and 6.5. Turn to the 3.5 inch side and score at 1/2 inch again. And then our flap is going to be, that is too long, this should be 6. It's going to be 4.5. What did I do? Oh, that's right, okay. 4.5 by 6. Cut off my extra little 1/2 inch there. So with the 4.5 at the top, you're going to score at 1/2 inch. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and miter on our flaps and then both of our pockets. So the top and the top, and then across both score lines on the bottom. So the flap is going at the top. So I'm going to fold and burnish that. Grab our book, turn it upside down so I can see where I'm lining this up. And this one just goes up here, like so. Okay, that's down. Our pocket, we are going to fold and burnish, the larger pocket that is. It's going to go down here at the bottom. What did I do? I don't know what I did, but I did something weird. Because that did not stick at all. Okay, there we go. Much better. We're going to, here our pocket at the bottom. And then we are going to mat. This one I'm going to do the other side of that little plaid. It has the yellow hearts. And this is 2 7/8 by 5 7/8. And then we'll put our small pocket on top of that at the bottom. Okay. Go. So for that, you'll just end up matting a cut apart or do a photo mat or what, whichever you choose, and that will tuck in there to keep all of that closed. Okay. The back side of page 1 just has a single flap. This is 5 by 5.5. The 5.5 at the top, you're going to score at 1/2 inch. Or in my case, I just scored at 5. Same difference, it's fine. And then miter. And fold and burnish. Center this on the top of the page. Oh, excuse me. Okay. Front of page 2, we have small flaps that will have a magnetic closure. So the flaps, there are 4 that are 3 by 3.5. With the 3.5 at the top, you're going to score at 1/2 inch. This is an element I have done on several albums. I just love how it comes out. I've done it in all different sizes, and it is just one of my favorite to do. The other piece you need is 3 1/8 by 4 1/8. This is where you will put one of your cut aparts. This does not need any scoring. Okay, so you're going to go ahead and miter. And then fold and burnish. We are going to start on this upper inside corner so that this flap folds up and out. Okay, going to go to our next corner, and this one is going to go from the side and fold out. Okay, the bottom one folds down. And then the last one folds to the inside. Like so. So it's going to go all the way to the bottom to the inside edge. So those all flip up and out. Well, once they're dry, that is. Okay, and then there will be magnets that will hold this on here. However, I'm not going to put them on yet because I don't know if my cut apart's going to be going portrait or landscape. So until I get to that point and decide, which I don't know, we can probably look at the cut aparts and decide right now. Let me find them. So I've got 3x4 journaling cut aparts I could use. Here they are. I'm torn between these two. I think we're going to go with that one. So let's go ahead and show you how to do this. I'm cutting that off. I don't need to just yet. All right. Let's move that out of the way. So what I'm going to do is grab my first little group of magnets here. Okay, I'm going to grab my score tape. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start on the inside of the page itself. So we're going to open these up. We're going to kind of determine where these need to go. Okay, note about the magnets. I know I said this before. Slide them apart. Do not try and pull them apart. Do not let them snap together without paper or something in between them, because they can and they will break. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay that approximately where I think it needs to go. And I'm just going to kind of center up my base for my cut apart and make sure that that is where I want it to go. Which I can always come in and move it and adjust it later before I actually finish matting. That's not a problem. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side here. Okay. So again, I'm just going to kind of figure out approximately where I want that to go, line this up, and tape this one down as well. Now, because I'm positive this is where I want it to go, I'm not going to move it again. I'm going to go ahead and get the backing off of my tape. Maybe. Ugh. And then we are going to go ahead and glue this. Crying out loud. Glue this down on top. So if you were using a cut apart that's going the other direction, the process is still going to be the same, because then what happens is we close all these down and that sits on top and holds that all closed, and you lift that off and then you've got your picture spots underneath. Okay? Alright, page 2 back. This one is super simple. This is just going to be... Did I get these out of order? Hold on. No. There it is. Stack pockets. I'm looking at my note over here going, where did it go? It's because I haven't turned the page, that's why. Okay. The larger pocket is going to be 7 by 3.5. With the 7 inches at the top, you're going to score it 1/2 inch and 6.5. Turn to the 3.5 inch side and score it 1/2 inch. Try to get your score line straight, unlike me. The smaller pocket is 2.5 by 7. So again, 7 inches at the top, score it 1/2 inch, 6.5. And turn to the 2.5 inch side and score it 1/2 inch. We're going to go ahead and miter everything. Grab the book. Go ahead and do our larger pocket on the bottom. Okay. All right. And then we're going to do the smaller pocket at the bottom. All right, page 3 front. This one, I haven't done this element on anything in a while, and this is always a fun one. These are stacked flaps. So we have 3 pieces that are 5 by 6.5. With the 6.5 at the top, you're going to score at 1/2 inch. We are not going to miter these. Now, what I want you to grab is either a couple of paper clips, or if you've got the little Dollar Tree clips, the little pink ones, grab probably 3 of those. I can grab a hold of them. All right. We're going to fold and burnish on all 3 pieces. And then I'm going to stack them like so, so that those fan out. We're going to put glue on the first 2. And then you are going to pinch them all together. Okay? And then burnish. And then just to give this a minute for that glue to set, we're going to clip them together. These are then going to go on the front of page 3 at the top, like so. Okay? So I am going to, will those sit for just a second, clean up some of all the little paper scraps here. Just because that does drive me nuts when there's 1,000 little tiny scraps like that all over the place. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and put glue on our last tab. Now this last one, if you wanted to miter it, you could, but you don't have to, it's fine. And then we are just going to center that on the page. And burnish that down. So now, it's not dry yet, so I don't want to flip just yet. There we go. Okay, so then this just flips up and up and up, like so. And because there's the 3 together, they weigh enough, they just stay down. Okay? Back side of page 3, we have a belly band and an insert. Okay. Our insert is 5 by 10. With the 10 inches at the top, we are going to score at 5 inches. Our belly band is 1.5 inches by 7. With the 7 inches at the top, you're going to score at 1/2 inch and 6.5. I'm going to go ahead and miter my belly band. And if you want to adjust the size of this, you can. I usually, and I didn't look at them this time, usually, especially with Doodle Bug, I will size my belly bands like this to the width of one of the border strips that I like. Didn't do it this time, but that's okay. Okay. And that is going to run horizontal. So I'm just going to eyeball my center, go ahead and glue that down on both sides. And then with your insert, you're just going to fold that in half and burnish, and that's just going to slide underneath that little belly band. Okay? Front of page 4, we have a pocket and 2 flaps. Okay. Our flaps are going to be 6.5 by 5. With the 6.5 at the top, you're going to score at 1/2 inch on each of these. Your pocket is going to be 3.5 by 7. Again, 7 inches at the top, you're going to score at 1/2 inch and 6.5. Turn to the other side and score at 1/2 inch. Okay. So we are going to go ahead and miter. And miter. Okay. So I'm going to put my pocket down first. So let's fold and burnish the pocket. That, of course, is going at the bottom. Lined up. Okay, so this one is going to come up here at the top. And center that up. Okay, turn this back around. And we're going to fold and burnish our second one. And this is going to get attached at the bottom of that flap. So it'll flip down and then the whole thing will flip up. So it also is going to get a magnet. So let me grab that. Well, that has a second to dry. Well, maybe. Okay. All right, so I'm going to grab my tape and I'm going to pick one of these up. And we're going to go about right here in the middle towards the top. Okay, because there's our pocket. And then I'm going to put it down right there, just to get the orientation right. And pick it back up. And then close this down on top of it, and then pick it back up. Okay? Like so. All right, back side of page 4. This has a side loading pocket and another flap. So the pocket is 7 by 3. That doesn't sound right for some reason. That's right, okay. We're good. All right, so with the 7 at the top, you're going to score it 1/2 inch and 6 1/2. Turn to the 3-inch side and score it 1/2 inch. Your flap is going to be 6 by 5 with the 5 inches at the top. You're going to score at 1/2 inch. And then you're going to miter. And miter. Our pocket. That is going to go over here on the outside edge. That down. Okay. Our flap is going to come across like so. This one is also getting a magnet. I feel like somewhere in here I was supposed to have ribbon, but I don't know where it was. So you know what? It's fine. Okay, next magnet set. Open that up. And we're going to go about right there. Close that down, drop that down on top, and adhere that one. Okay. Next thing we are going to have on our back and side cover is a waterfall. I am going to mat this first because it is not as big as the back of the book. Put that down first and give that a second to dry. Our waterfall pieces are 4 1/2 by 6. There are 5 of them. We're going to score each of them with the 4 1/2 at the top at 1/2 inch. And do it at the 1/4 inch instead of 1/2 inch because that's just easier. As long as you get a 1/2 inch score line on there, it's fine. Alright, so this is going to go this way. Because it's a waterfall, we are not going to miter. Other than this needed attached out here before we did that. Okay, we're gonna make a slight change here. I'll be right back. We're gonna build this on a base. So 6x6 piece of the black cardstock, and we are going to build this across because this is actually going to do two things. We can do this going across, and then when we glue this into the book, we can glue it on 3 sides and have a pocket back behind there. Actually, if we do it that way, we only need 4 flaps. So that actually works as well. Okay, so I'm going to skip that last one. Let me update my notes. Okay. All right, so your closure, pretty sure my closure is too long, so we are going to cut this down to 6 inches. So this is 6 by 1.5. We are going to score this with the 6 inches at the top at 1/2 inch and at 5/8. Okay. So then you have like that little bit of a gusset, just so it sits nicely on your page. Okay. Now, this of course is going to wrap around. So I'm going to figure out about where the middle is and burnish that down. I can pop my little gusset back out there. And then if I can get my magnets to come off, we need our last set of magnets. Okay. So I'm going to go about right there and right there. Tape that down. Now, because we did it on a base, now we can kind of decide, do we want it to go this way? Do we want it to go this way? Do we want it to go this way? I don't know. I'm torn. Which way do I want to go? Oh, let's do that way. No, you know what? Let's do this way. Okay, so I'm going to just do glue on 3 sides. And then center that up back on the very back. And burnish that down. And there you go. That is all of the elements in your book. Okay. I will be back in a minute with any other little things that we need to look at here, mostly adding our ribbon for our closure, and I think there's something else we're supposed to be putting in here and I can't think what it is. I'll figure it out. I'll be back. Okay, so for the closure we do it's just a very simple ribbon closure. So I'm going to grab my tape, and I did not get enough on there. It's wider ribbon than I usually use. So hold on one second. There we go. That's probably now way too much, but that's okay. I'm just gonna put that down there, kind of eyeball about how much I think I need to tie a decent bow, because we all know I am bow challenged. I am not good at tying bows. You're gonna hang on to this for your tag album, and then I'm just gonna cut that in half, figure out which is my front. That would be my front, and then just go ahead and put my matting down over the top. And then you are good to go to mat and decorate the inside if you have not already done so. The matting for the front cover is 6 3/8 by 6 3/8. For the spine is 6 3/8 by 1 7/8. And then, yeah, that's about it. Of course, if you have purchased the kit, your cutting guide does have matting measurements on it. Always measure your papers before you know where you're matting before you actually cut, just in case. And there you go. So I do have this matted. I'm not actually gonna decorate this just yet. I'm gonna go ahead and move on. It is matted entirely, so there we go. I'll show you the matting without the decoration. So of course we've got the pocket in there, and then our tuck spot pocket out there. I think this was where initially I was going to do a ribbon closure and didn't. So for this one I matted these, and then I added some of the little 2 1/4 by 2 1/4 cut aparts, and then just left it fairly simple on the inside there, which, like I said, I haven't decorated yet. I will do that here shortly. I've got some of my cut aparts in here. This is our flip spot. There's lots of space for pictures there. Our little insert is there. Our flap that goes up and down. And then of course our side load pocket and our waterfall. I did not mat the back of the waterfall. I may come back and do that, but for right now I'm fine with it as it is. So this is ready for decoration, but before I do that I am going to go ahead and put together my notepad holder and my tag album before I go through and start decorating, because I will probably do all of those at once. The tote doesn't really need decorated, but if you've got leftovers, you can absolutely use some of those on the tote as well. So there is our album, and get ready to start your notepad holder.